It's been exactly 2 months since the state's public health disaster declaration, and as the state works to reopen once again, COVID-19 cases continue to grow. Joining us now is the Speaker of the Texas House of Representatives, that's State Honorable Dennis Bonnen, here to give us an update on the state's effort to fight the virus. Sir, thank you for being with us live this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Health disaster declaration, which he just extended for the second time. What is the number one thing that Texas has learned from this particular pandemic?
What we're learning is that it's fairly unpredictable, but we're also learning is that it is manageable. If Texans follow the health guidance of washing their hands, social distancing, wearing a face covering when they're out in public, that we can be successful in reopening our economy, getting Texans back to work, have our economy back to what it used to be. By simply following health guidelines, we can have Texans out of the unemployment line and back in the workforce.
Now, the number of COVID-19 cases is still growing and people are still dying. Have we peaked yet?
We've not peaked yet, but don't forget, one of the great efforts is to flatten that curve and to really almost never truly have an actual peak. We don't want hot spots. One of the things that we're working hard to do is flatten that curve. Texans are doing an amazing job and we're having success. Some say if we quit making the efforts we're making, we'd see a peak in early June. But the reality is we don't want an absolute peak. We want to keep things flat so that we don't overwhelm our hospitals and we keep people getting back into the workforce, back into their routines by doing the health guidance that they've been given of socially distancing, wearing a face mask, washing hands. We can avoid a true surge and a spike in numbers.
Let's talk about the guideline for getting back to business. Are we going too fast, too slowly, or just right?
Depends on who you ask. But I think Governor Abbott's done an exceptional job of leading us on the way to back to work. We're following the White House guidance and doing so, and every one of those decisions is being made with the medical professionals letting us know if they agree and if it's safe and protective. Because the reality of it is we can tell businesses to open back up, but one, they don't have to, and more importantly, the consumer doesn't have to go and participate. So we have to ensure that the public feels safe, and so that they can be back out driving our economy. And we're seeing in some places where they don't feel as comfortable to get back out into the economy. So we've got to do our part to make sure that we're showing them it's safe, they will be protected, and that they can be a part of this economy and keep their health intact.
When do you expect the governor to announce the next phase?
I think there'll be an announcement Monday, the 18th, this coming Monday. I believe there will be some more information from the governor at a press conference Monday.
What is your message to protesters pushing for faster, wider reopenings with fewer restrictions?
I'd say, we agree. I'd love to see Texas wide open. The reality of it is we have to strike that balance between protecting public health, but there's also another part that people need to understand, and that is economic health. The reality of it is the greater there is economic despair. Studies have shown that the higher an unemployment goes, you have higher suicides, drug overdoses, domestic violence issues. So the reality of it is we are in a balancing act of protecting people from the health concern of the pandemic, but also not letting people fall into an economic despair that creates a counter health problem from feeling so disparate about what their economic outlook is. I think we're doing a good job. You can always, in an unforeseen pandemic like this, you can always argue that it could be better, but the reality of it is I think we're doing better than any country in the nation. The numbers show that. We're opening up more than any country in the nation, and we're doing it with the approval of the medical experts.
On that subject, what is your take on the Shelly Luthor situation in Dallas that got so much national attention?
I think it's sad. A lot of people have suggested that she got put in jail because she didn't follow the governor's executive order. That's not accurate. We had an out-of-control judge in Dallas County who put a woman who wanted to try and feed her family in jail for basically contempt of court. That judge overreacted grossly. It's wrong what he did. It's comical that you have a county that's letting inmates out of jail because they're worried about COVID-19, but they're putting a decent woman like her in jail for contempt of court. And that's just flat wrong when it comes down to it.
Now, you just sent a letter to Congress asking for liability protection for business. What does this mean?
What it means is that, the trial lawyers have already been out talking and saying that they are looking to sue businesses on behalf of the consumer and on the behalf of employees who opened back up for not getting it right and for whether someone got sick from COVID or what have you. And the reality of it is the Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, and myself, we joined together as we were working together throughout this pandemic and sent a letter to Congress asking them to do liability protection for businesses who follow the health guidelines from being sued. The last thing we need today is businesses are struggling and they're suffering. We don't need them to have ambulance chasers coming down behind them as they're trying to recover from what they've had to deal with in this pandemic. And if they're doing what's responsible and they're following health guidelines, they shouldn't have to have the fear of a frivolous lawsuit on top of that.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for your time. Before I let you go, any thoughts to maybe perhaps running again?
I have done almost 24 years of public service. I am proud of what I have done, but it's time for others to have the joys of public service.
Thank you, sir, for your very valuable time. We appreciated having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.